My name is Tom McFadden, the Vice President for Enrollment. Many of you, the BWs who have come to our summer program, would remember me as the guy who gave the crazy talk about the frog in the pot and the boiling water, and it freaked you out. But hopefully you remember me for better things like that, like my good looks and humor. We'll see how it goes. So all that being said, this talk is meant for you to learn about visiting Christendom College this semester, this year, as well as if you want to visit another college, that you can use this as well for figuring out what you should be doing when you visit Christendom or another college. So obviously you came to the summer program, you came to the best week ever. Most of you thought it was the best week ever. So I'm glad we were able to put on a great event for you. But of course, it was not the real Christendom. It was a version of Christendom, a great version of Christendom. But the real school year is actually, for many people, better, because when they come back here, there's more students. There's about 550 students. There's more classes to attend. There's still ice cream, so don't worry. Ice cream still exists after lunch. But you're going to get a different experience of what it's like in the dorm life. You're going to see your counselors around. You're going to see your admissions personnel around. But it's just going to get a better feel for the college. So this is very important for you to come back and visit during the school year. So as I mentioned, Tom McFadden. So for any parents who are watching, along with the students, I've been here for a long time, been overseeing admissions and other aspects of the college since 2004. I myself am a graduate of the college. Came in 1986, graduated in 1990. I've had thousands of discussions with parents, students, everybody, talking about Christendom, whether Christendom is for them, whether people should come to Christendom. My one prideful moment is that I don't tell people they should come to Christendom. I tell people, here's what Christendom has to offer. If this is something you want to do, we'd love to help you do it. But Christendom is like a family. We don't want everyone coming to Christendom. We only want people who are truly in love with what we do to come here. So I'm married with 11 kids. I've ages 7 to 32. A couple of my children came to the summer program this summer. One's coming as a freshman this fall. One's coming hopefully next fall as well. So I'm not just a person who works here. I'm actually a product of the education environment, and also most of my children so far have come through here. So if you have questions about anything to do with Christendom or anything at all, not just admissions, I'm generally a good person to talk to, and my contact information will be on the last slide. So this one, the 6 tips, basically, it's easy to break it down into different segments. So we're doing 6 tips because we're going to talk about doing your homework. So doing a little research before you ever come to the college, or before you even visit, then coming up with questions to ask. You're spending all the time coming to visit, you might as well ask questions. Then there is the concept of doing some people watching. So the people, it might sound a little suspect, like sketchy. What are you doing looking at people? Hey, they're the people. They're the product of whatever institution you go to. It's important to know whether you want to be around those people. The liturgical life of a campus, obviously, if you're visiting a religious school, you should check into the liturgical life. Obviously, if it's a private or public school or state school, I mean, unless they're doing something behind closed doors that no one knows about, there shouldn't be any liturgical life being offered. But hopefully you're looking at a Catholic school. Obviously, you're looking at Christendom, so liturgical life should be important. Hang out with people. These are the people you're going to spend 4 years with. They're going to influence you. They're going to become your friends. They're going to be your best man or maid of honor in your wedding. You're never going to know the effect that they're people you're going to hang out with, how much they'll affect you. And then go to class, of course. So these are the 6 things. I'm going to give you some insights into each of these 6 topics. There's no rocket science about this. Anyone could tell you this is what you should do when you visit a school, but I hopefully will give you some insights. So the first one, do your homework. This is actually the most important part. It's sort of like preparing for a test. Imagine visiting a college being the test. No one just shows up to a test unprepared. So you need to do your homework before you come here. This is where you and your parents and people you know and love can talk about all the things you want to talk about. And what might that be? Well, I personally think you should think about, how is the college going to affect you? Wherever you're going to go to college, it's going to affect you. Hopefully in a good way. It might be in a bad way. It depends where you go to college, depends what you study, depends who you hang out with. But every college is going to affect you, and you have to say, how do I want it to affect me? So figure out, how do you want it to affect you? What are the outcomes? What are the personal, spiritual, professional things you want to achieve? Even right now, without the next part of my slide, say, well, how is it? What do I want it to be? So make a list. Make lists about how you want the college experience to affect you. So maybe you can say, I want a must-have list. They must have this. This college, whatever college I go to, must have these things. And then you can say, I want another list, which is must not have. If they have these things, there's no way I should go there. And then another list, like, well, it'd be kind of cool if. And there's no truth to it. This is your family's experience. So here's a list of a lot of people that come to Christendom. This is what's on their list. They say, I have to go to a school that has Catholic professors. I don't want any non-Catholics teaching me. Non-Catholics are great people too, but if I'm going to a Catholic school, I want to get paid. I want to pay money to get affected by a Catholic that's going to teach me why I need to know about this as a Catholic. And of course, the only people that can do that are Catholics. Good spiritual offerings, good residential policies, whatever that means to you. Financially affordable, lots of Catholic students. So this for a lot of people that come to Christendom, these are important aspects that they put on their must-have list. And they say, okay, a must-have, I'm going to look for a college that have those things. Then they say, okay, I certainly do not want these things. I don't want any co-ed dorms. I don't want any intervisitation. Intervisitation, for those who don't know, means people, guys and girls, going into each other's dorm rooms. You might say, well, sure, why would I want to do that? Well, there are people that want to do it. And most colleges you're going to look at will have intervisitation. So even out of the so-called Newman Guide school, the good Catholic colleges, out of the 15, 16 residential Newman Guide schools, there's only 4 colleges on that list that do not have intervisitation. So if that matters to you, do your research, do the studying. Maybe you want to make sure they don't have anti-Catholic speakers or poor academic quality or crazy party life. There's a lot of colleges with a lot of crazy party life going on. No liberal leaning professors. So whatever's on your list, make a list of for sure, I do not want these things in my college experience. I don't want to be paying money to have these things affecting my mind, my soul, everything about me. And then, okay, it would be nice if, do we have, so sports programs, maybe, close to home, maybe you want organic food, that'd be cool. Maybe you want a free laptop, that'd be nice, but it's not going to make or break. So you say, what do I need? What do I want? What don't I want? And then what would be nice if we have it? There are a lot of people that might put on their must-have this sports program. There are a lot of people that the number one reason they go to college is because of this sports program. So if that's must-have for you, then that's on your list. So think about those things, create those lists, and then do some more research on your own. So create the list, create the what you must have, what you must not have, and then contact the admissions office. Hopefully you've seen through coming to our BWE that we have Mr. Phillips and I and Ben and Aaron and Basha and Catherine. We have a lot of information. We love the college. We love to talk to you about the college. But, every admissions staff at every college is in business to tell you what they do. So if you create your lists and you're really interested in these 3 schools, create your list, call the admissions staff, email them, however you get a hold of them, and ask them the questions. Don't rest till they answer them, because they should be able to answer all your questions. Learn the facts, the offerings, the opportunities prior to visiting. Make sure you know. I've had people visit me, and one of the things they tell me is, oh yeah, I'm really interested in Christendom. I said, okay, great. I'm glad you are. And then what are you hoping to major in wherever you go to school? Oh, I definitely going to major in business. I'm like, do you know that Christendom doesn't have a business major? And like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't know that. Now, as you know, you don't need a business major to do business, but if you really have a thing that you need to do and you believe you have to do it, make sure the college that you're visiting has it, because otherwise it's kind of a wasted trip. Find out the different facts that you want to do, retention rates and graduation rates and costs and all that stuff. You can do research on the website or call beforehand. And you might say, well, isn't that why I'm visiting? Don't I want to find this out? I'm going to explain to you you're only going to have a limited amount of time visiting. You need to use that time wisely, and asking a bunch of questions about these things, you can figure it out beforehand. So, as I said, don't waste time asking about scholarships and costs and graduate, because you can find them all online. Every college that has a website has this information. If it matters to you, again, you can call somebody, use their Jivo chat, whatever you want to do, find out the answers beforehand. Because when you're actually here at the college visiting, whether it's Christendom or elsewhere, you want to soak in a lot of things. You don't want to be spending a lot of time asking questions. You want to kind of get a good feeling, and I'll give you some good questions to ask while you're there. But you don't need to meet with the academic department head or the athletic coach or the music teacher. This is what a lot of people think they have to do. If you do a research and do a Google search and say, what am I supposed to do when I visit a college? They're going to tell you all this stuff. I say it's all horrible. Don't ask any of this stuff while you're there. Get it figured out beforehand. And then when you go there, ask the real important questions, which we're going to talk about next. So do your own research. See if it offers what you want. Because then when you actually visit there, it costs a lot of money to visit. You can make sure you use your time. Now, here, just a little plug for Christendom. Why do students and their parents choose Christendom? We ask the question of every freshman coming in every year for years and years and years. We ask a survey, and then we ask the same question to their parents. So here we are this year, fall 2024, 156 kids answered out of this. We have like 74 coming. So a good percentage answered it. Okay, what's the number one reason? What is it? You had a lot of choices. It could have been the culture, the academics, the location. Now, by the way, it wasn't listed in this order. It was listed in a different order. This is listed in order of the top choice down to the lowest choice, sorted that way. So 65%, the authentic Catholic culture. They realized because they came to B Week, because they came to visit, they said, you know what, that is the number one reason that was on my must-have list. And you know what, Christendom does that the best. They say, I want the rigorous liberal arts education. I like the location, whatever. They go through it. Parents made you. Hey, if you're in that category and your parents are kind of putting the heat behind you to pick Christendom, you're going to love it. Parents are awesome. Parents know what they're talking about. Moms are the best. And if they tell you Christendom's the place you should go, you should probably listen to them. So here we are. This is the number. These are the reasons why the students chose it. Then you say, okay, what about the parents? To be honest, the parents are the ones footing the bill most often. Most students can't afford the education that Christendom or other colleges offer, so parents have to get behind it. And so the parents, those same parents or those same students, 173 parents responded. 72% of them said the authentic Catholic culture. So from a marketing point of view, in case you're wondering how marketing 101, this is what Christendom markets, and it's a great sign to see that when people realize this is what Christendom markets, the authentic Catholic culture, and that people then say, yeah, that's what I want. This is Christendom's Big Mac. This is what we're trying to sell. This is what we want people to come here for because this is what we do best. Other colleges do other things. Christendom does this best. So if this is on your list of things that must have, check. If it's on your list, if you don't care about this aspect of the authentic Catholic culture, I'm going to be honest. We should just stop this webinar right now and move on to someplace else because this is what we're selling. Obviously, incredible rigorous liberal arts education. That's what you do most of your time. You're at college, you're in class, you're studying, you're writing papers, you're taking tests, you're crying about the amount of work you have to do. But I'm just telling you, there are other colleges offer academic programs, but what we do best is the authentic Catholic culture. So that's just something for you all to know, that if that's on your list, you should definitely consider visiting. So here are some good questions. I mentioned the questions you shouldn't ask, but the very specifics. Here are some questions to ask. Again, I've been in the admissions department for a long time, 20 years. I've heard a lot of questions asked. I don't hear a lot of good questions asked, to be honest. So if you went in there asking some smart questions, people are going to think you're even smarter than you are, possibly. So here they are. What makes your college different than others? This is what you have to come down to, because again, there are other good Catholic colleges. Christendom is, yes, I will state it, Christendom is the best Catholic college out there, but it might not be the best one for you. So maybe you have Christendom and Benedictine and Franciscan University on your list. You should talk to the people that work there and say, what makes your college different than others? What makes Franciscan different than Christendom or Benedictine? Christendom, what makes Christendom stand out from the crowd of those other two? And anybody that works in an admissions office should be able to tell you this information. And you should be able to listen to it and say, okay, does that matter to me? Did they tell me? Did it make a sense? How is it? And it's important for you to talk about it. I just had some people here yesterday asking me those same questions. And at the end of it, they're like, good answer. I understand. I'm still looking at it all, but I'm glad to know this is the differences between it. So ask the important questions. What are those? What's your Big Mac? I didn't put a trademark on there, but obviously that belongs to McDonald's. You could say, what's your Whopper? You know, what's your grilled chicken sandwich? Whatever it is, ask something. What's your thing that you sell that no one else sells? That if I go there, I'm going to get that and I'm going to be happy. What's the only thing? What's the thing I can get that only I can get that I can get only at your place? That's very important because every college has a distinctive niche that it's saying, no, this is our thing. This is our thing that you need to look for. So you need to ask them, what's your Big Mac? What is it? And if it doesn't sound like appetizing to you, then move on. How does your college differ from this or that other college? So if you have a couple colleges on your list, ask someone, make them go through the hoops, make them jump through it and say, how do you differ from Benedictine? How do you differ from Franciscan? How do you differ from Thomas Aquinas College, Wyoming, so on and so forth? Ask them. And by the way, you can ask me those questions anytime. Don't do it today on this webinar because it goes on and on and on. But if you want to call me, you want to have a Zoom meeting with me, you want to send me an email, I will be happy to tell you anything you want to know about the differences, trying to be very objective about it, knowing, of course, they are all good schools, just different. So how does your college differ? What types of students succeed here? You want to know if you're going to fit in. Many of you, when you came to BWE, you're all kind of scared, like, are these my people? Are they a bunch of weirdos at Christendom? And of course, you found out only Chase is weird. But anyway, you want to find out what kind of students succeed at Christendom. What kind of students, am I the type of student that's going to succeed there? So ask those questions to the admissions people. What kind of people do very well here? What kind of people fit in here? What kind of people succeed and do great things when they graduate? Are there things I could be doing now that would improve my chances of getting accepted or getting more scholarship or better financial aid? You're asking the people, the people that are working the college, the admissions people, asking for some inside information. Are there any tricks or tips that maybe you haven't told me before? Maybe you can tell me now because I came to visit, and maybe now I can have a better leg up on getting in and getting more money. So you can do that. What's the moral climate like on campus? Hopefully, as a Catholic, you care about Catholic education, you care about your soul, you care about getting to heaven as we do. What's the moral climate on campus? Because again, the moral climate, that's the frog in the boiling pot of water story that, as you remember talking about, that the moral climate is what starts bubbling your bones. What gets you worked up is you go into a college and all of a sudden the moral climate is heating up, and you don't even realize it's heating up until all of a sudden you're boiled to death. So ask what the moral climate's like regarding drinking, fornication, pornography, drugs. Look, we can't control everyone's what they do. People do what they do. People are human. Original sin is alive and well everywhere. But you can ask, how prominent is it? Is it the culture? Is it something a lot of people do? Is it something far and few in between? How is that? Are the college alumni still practicing the faith? Are they in good marriages or vocations? I've mentioned to you before, about 96% of our alumni are still practicing the faith. There are a couple of people that aren't practicing the faith. We come across them every once in a while. We're not sure why exactly, but something happened here or there, and they're not practicing the faith, and that's something that is sad, and we pray for them. But ask a college if 50% of their alumni are still practicing the faith. It's like, what happened? We're okay with 97%. We sure wish it was 100%, but you lose people along the way. So ask these questions. These are the important questions that are going to benefit you as a human being. Here's one. Why did you come here and why did you stay? So this is where you can ask if you have a student guide or an ambassador showing you around, giving you a tour, maybe you're spending the night with. Ask them different questions than you ask the admissions people. Ask them questions like, what other colleges did you look at? And why did you choose this one? Because maybe they can give you some insights. Like, oh yeah, I looked at 4 colleges, and when I went to visit, here's what I figured out, or here's when I talked to people, here's what I figured out, and gosh, I'm so happy I stayed here because this is what I know. So ask them their particular situation and why they chose Christendom or whatever college you went to. What do you do for fun on campus? Are there a lot of groups or clubs to join? Look, you spend about 20 hours a week in class, and that's a good chunk of change, but you have a lot of time to kill, and you want to make sure you have time to have fun, have a good time, build your experiences, grow as an individual, grow as an adult, mature, get formed. And you want to make sure, are there things to do on campus? And what do you do as the student guide? What are some things you do for fun? Because that can give you an insight into what people do on campus. What are some of the things you're not so happy about? Are there things that go on campus? You're like, wow, they didn't put this in the brochure. I didn't learn about this. I sure wish they didn't do this. And again, I'm sure there's some things about Christendom that some people are like, well, you're a pretty good place. We like a lot about you, but there's a couple of things we wish you didn't do. Each person's different. We can't please everyone all the time, but we can please a lot of people. In fact, the seniors, when they graduated this year in May, we asked them on a survey, how many of you would redo it all over again? Sign up as freshmen. And it was somewhere over 90%. Yeah, do we wish they were 100%? Always, but over 90% is pretty good that they would redo it all again. Do you regret your decision at all? Every school has people that regret their decision, and sometimes they bail out and they go and transfer. Sometimes they just say, well, I'm already into this thing, I'm going to stick with it. But you want people that are there that are actually all excited and happy to be there, because that's going to affect the culture on campus. And again, ask the students the same thing. Ask them what the moral climate on campus is like. They're the ones living it. I mean, the administrators, the people admissions may just be living in la la land, and maybe they think, oh yeah, everything's great all the time. But ask the students what their experience is regarding these things, or what other things you're worried about. And then, do you think that most students are trying to grow in virtue? I would think as a young Catholic, you want to be around other people that are trying to grow in virtue, because a lot of the world seems to be trying to grow in vice. They're trying to do the worst things whenever they can, trying to get away with it. So my hope, I would think that you might say, well, if I'm going to go to a Catholic college and pay all that money, it'd be nice to be around people who care about the faith, who care about virtue. Yes, they sin, they go to confession, all that stuff, but when they get down, they get back up. So you can ask that question to the person you're visiting with. Okay, people watching. Okay, this is the cringy part that you might say, this is kind of stalking. We don't want to do this. This can actually tell you an awful lot. It can tell you a lot about the place, tell you a lot about the people. So take notice of how people react to you and others as you're wandering about campus. If people come up to you and say, hey, good to see you, are you visiting here? Or if people sort of dodge you, or people just look at their phones as they walk by, they don't give you the time of day. If they're going to treat if they're going to treat a visitor poorly, there's a good chance, they might treat some of the new freshmen that come in just sort of like, yeah, we don't care about you. But if you see that people care about visitors, and they respect them, and they ask them questions, and the other students are kind of excited about telling you about Christendom or their college and saying, yeah, this is great. We love being here. You should think about coming here. Well, that shows that it's contagious. So do these students look like your kind of people? I don't mean that by a diversity point of view, or what a color your skin. I mean, are they your kind of people? Meaning, do they look like they care about the things you care about? If they act the way you want to act, they treat other people the way you want to be treated, they study the way you want to study, they sit in class and take notes the way you'd like to be. Are they your people? I mean, or they just do they look a little different in how they respond, how they act, how they talk to you? So just find out whatever your kind of people are. You should find out if they're your kind of people. They look happy, friendly, joyful. People tell us all the time that our students are very much that way, and we're always like, really? I mean, we think so, but like, do you come across students at other college when you're visiting that are just kind of nasty and unhappy, and like, yeah, we do. So I'm like, okay, well, we're happy to hear it about us. Do they seem to be interested and engaged in their studies both in and outside the classroom? If you come to visit in the fall, which you should, you're gonna go to classes with people, you're gonna go to lunch with people, you're gonna go to meals with people, you're gonna stay in the dorms with the people, you're gonna hang out with people, maybe you can go down to the river and boating and jump in the river. It depends on the time of year. Maybe you can go on a hike up. You're gonna do things with other people. And you should sort of, without asking the questions like, hey, are you engaged in your studies? Sort of get a feel for them. Like, do they talk about their classes outside of class? When they're in class, do you see are they sitting there doodling or, thinking about their next meal? Or does it look like they're actually taking notes and paying attention? It's important. You're paying a lot of money for an education. You want to be around people who are academically serious. And Christendom students are certainly academically serious when it's time to be academically serious. They seem to have the same interests and goals you have, whatever those are. You can get those feelings from being around the students. Are they immersed in their phones or walk around with earphones? Look, we all have these devices, and there's a time and a place for all of them. And a lot of people, it's a little blanket, security blanket for them to walk around just looking at their phone. It means they don't have to talk to anybody. When I go around the country and I visit schools or visit with people, and I go out to a restaurant all by myself, yeah, I just sit there and read the news or see what's going on or play Wordle or whatever on the phone, because it's like, well, otherwise I'm just kind of a loser sitting here by myself, and people are going to look at me like, who's that person? But if you sort of have your phone, you feel like you have a world around you and a company. But on a campus where there is a world about you and company, people you go to school with, people should feel comfortable walking around and be able to look at people in the eye and say, hey, good morning, Mr. McFadden, great to see you. We're talking to people. I walk around this campus all the time, going to mass, going to lunch. I call people by name. I know every student by name. We call them by name. We talk about things. Every once in a while, a little joke goes back and forth. And it's nice. It's nice to be known as a human being. So, get that feeling of whenever you visit whatever campus. All right, the liturgical life. So, the liturgical life should be very important to you. It isn't just a afterthought, like, well, I don't really care what kind of liturgies they do. I don't really care. God's everywhere. I can worship him any way you want. Well, that's all true. You can pray to him whenever. But the liturgical life should affect you, because everyone has a different way of sort of viewing God and how he speaks to you. So not all liturgies are the same. So even the good Newman Guide schools have different liturgies, different things they're trying to do, different opportunities. I don't know what you like. Traditional liturgies, maybe like the more modern ones. Well, as you know from being here at the summer program, we're very traditional, very smells and bells. It's not saying anything about any other form of liturgy. It's just that's what we do. And so if you're more into glory and praise or charismatic or guitar or piano music, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're not going to be satiated here at Christendom. You're going to be wanting that, and there's other schools you can go to for that. So check it out. When you go to a school, make sure you go to the mass, make sure you see what they do, check out their thing. Look at their schedule, either online or talk to some priest or talk to the students like, hey, do you have public prayer? Do you have public sacraments? Do you have frequent confessions, the rosary, divine office, all those things? Like, find out, because it's very important. You may not take advantage of all of it because of time, or maybe you're going to take advantage of some of it. But I told you during the summer program that we have over 2 hours of confession a day on campus. And it's a beautiful thing. And it hasn't always been that way at Christendom. So even with fewer students, we used to have less times for confession. And now we have more students, and we offer more times for confession. So that's something we care about. Some college you visit might have 24/7 Eucharistic adoration. Some have them in the dorms. We don't have that. We have an hour of adoration, of exposition every day. And then otherwise you can go to the church and adore Jesus anytime you want. So there's different, it depends what you like, how your spiritual life needs to be nourished. Do many people take advantage of the offerings? You know, here at Christendom, obviously we have the big, beautiful chapel. Loads of people go to daily mass. We don't take attendance. I don't know exactly what the number would be, but if I was a guessing man, I'd say 65, 70% of the students go to daily mass. There's two daily masses, 7:30 and 11:30. Check out, you know, wherever you're visiting to find out how frequently they are. And it's one thing that, you know, I've heard of people have gone on tours at different campuses, and they frequently tell me that the tour guide says to them, well, yeah, there's the chapel over there, but you know, yeah, you don't have to go. It's no big deal. I don't, you know, don't feel forced to go to it. Again, you shouldn't feel forced to go to, but peer pressure should lead you to say, you know what, maybe you should go to daily mass. It is the greatest thing in the universe. It's the best thing you do every day, and why not have the opportunity to do it? How is the homily at mass or the music? You know, it doesn't make or break everything, but you know, it could help you or benefit you depending what it is. Does the liturgical life spill over into the lived life of the students, or is it just they clock in and clock out of mass, or whatever liturgy they went to, and then they just go on about their business, not caring about anything else? Are there rosaries in the dormitories? Are there processions on campus? They're celebrating the liturgical life of the feast days of the saints. Does it spill out into it? If you're just living the normal, you know, January through December calendar, you're missing out. You need to live the liturgical calendar. And that's something that should spill out into the daily life at a college. Again, it depends if it matters to you or not, but hopefully you experience some of that during our summer program. Hang out in the dorm. So obviously, some of you may want to visit a college, and maybe you're just saying, well, I'm just going to go for a tour for like a 2-hour visit. I highly do not recommend that. In fact, it's a bad idea. If you're going to visit any college, you should go and spend at least one night in the dormitories. Why do I say that? Well, you know, a lot of things happen in the dormitory. In the dormitories, people kick back, people talk about all kinds of stuff. You see them in their leisure. You can figure out whether, okay, this is where I'm gonna be living in this place. Do I want to live like these people live, whatever that is? So talk to people about their leisure. What do they do? Do they just spend all the time watching movies? Do they drink in their rooms? A lot of the Newman Guide schools, you're allowed to have alcohol in your rooms. Christendom, we do not allow that. So what do people do? Do they study in their rooms? Do people just go off and go bowling at the nighttime? They don't spend any time on campus. There is no dorm life. There's no social life. There's no community. Figure it out. You can get that experience on a visit. Now, I will tell you, when you visit, particularly Christendom, you're going to visit during the weekday, where hopefully most of the time the students are in class and studying or writing papers or doing something. There are some fun events and activities that go on at nighttime during the week. Not that many. People do hang out, and people are supposed to be studying in the library, but they're shooting the breeze and goofing around as all people do. So you will have opportunities to sort of see just what do people do in their off time. Is everyone plugged in all the time? What kind of media are they watching? What are some of the restrictions? Are they watching pornography? Are they watching Game of Thrones? Are they watching, downloading bad movies? What is it they're doing? Are they obsessed with music videos from, you know, who knows? Just ask around, because maybe you're into all that stuff and you can find the right answers and you find your people, but maybe that stuff turns you off. So you should find out. Does good conversation take place? This is one of the best things I remember as a student. No matter what we were doing, there was some great conversation. Remember, we had this crazy conversation about whether it'd be better. We talked about it in Theology 101. I mean, the question was whether it would be better for someone who dies outside the state of grace, so they die in mortal sin. Obviously, we know as a church teaching, people die in mortal sin, they go to hell. And obviously, once you're in hell, there's no getting out of hell. Well, one of our teachers said it would be better for a person. We thought, my friends and I thought, well, it would probably be better if we just never existed. Like, then you don't have to spend all eternity burning in hell and suffering. Like, if you just didn't exist, well, we wouldn't even know we existed. And so we can't say we'd be happy because we wouldn't exist, but we thought it might be a better thing to be annihilated, so to speak. And our teacher said, no, that's a bad idea. Actually, it's better for someone to have been created and spend all eternity in hell than to never been created. And we're like, what is up with that? That doesn't make any sense. And he explained it to us, because we're created beings. Because we're created, we're good, because God made us and we're good. The fact that we messed it up and we're in hell, that's on us. But the fact is, it's a better thing to exist than to not exist. Anyway, I always just remember that as an idiot 17-year-old freshman kid talking about that stuff with my friends, and we were just blown away by the whole thing. And this was outside of class, so we have like lots of great conversation about all kinds of things. Guys and girls going to each other's dorms, is that something that happens? I remember one time a lady, a mother, was telling me that she went on a tour of some Newman Guide school somewhere, And the person was telling me like, oh yeah, there's no men and women, they stay in their own dorms. There's no intervisitation. And on the tour, she's watching a guy sneak in a back door to go into the girls' dorm. So, again, people do what they do, but you should ask about it, see if it's real, see if it matters to you, and check it out. Do students stay up all night? Do they go to sleep at a reasonable time? I will be honest with you, I don't know how it happens, but when people go to college, all of a sudden their time schedule changes, and 2 o'clock in the morning seems like 10 p.m. to a normal person, and I don't know how they operate, but they do. And so they go on these weird schedules of very little sleep. But there are some people that really need to go to bed at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or midnight or whatever, and wake up early to go to an 8:30 class. So you should find out, what's the deal? Is it that everyone just stays up all night because, someone's body's going to burn out and they can't last? But ask around, see how it is. Maybe there's some dormitories are quieter than others. Maybe there's some that are considered the party dorms. Ask around all about that. How's the noise level, cleanliness? I had a roommate at one time. I had 3 roommates at one time that were just the dirtiest people you could ever imagine. Their clothes, they didn't know they had a closet. They just piled stuff up on the floor. I have some great pictures. If you ever show to Kristen and you want to see them, I'll show you. I couldn't believe how that I'm kind of a clean freak myself. So it matters to you. Ask around, ask these questions. Do they respect your privacy? Or do things get stolen all the time? Do people just barge in on people? There's a lot of things to ask while you're in the dormitories. 6, sit down in classes. So this is the last aspect of it. Again, all this has to do with every school you visit. Sit down in classes, figure out how the people are. The academic life should be the heart of any education. Obviously, you're going to a college. You're not just going to a camp. It's not a Jesus camp, a Bible camp. You're not going to just a Catholic camp. You're going to a college, and you need to know, do the people take it seriously? Do it seem like students were into the classes? And you can tell that. You can tell that by how they hold themselves, whether they put their head down and sleep, whether they have their laptops open, they're playing video games, whether they're talking during class, how they're dressed for class. There's a lot of ways you can tell whether students are into it, whether they raise their hand, whether teachers, asking questions, and, people are just sitting there looking at them like, oh, I don't know the answer. So you can tell. So if you should want to be around people who are into their classes. Did the professors seem passionate or enthusiastic? Did they just sit there and talk in monotone voice, and they see all the students sleeping in the back row and they don't even care, and they're just like, whatever, we're just trying to get through this class. Let me clock in, clock out, get my paycheck, go home, feed the dog, whatever. Is that it? Or are they enthusiastic? Hopefully you saw that during the summer program, that the teachers are enthusiastic and they cared about you and they want you to learn and they want to answer your questions. And I don't know. I mean, again, not every college has that. You should experience it and ask those questions and sort of feel it. Were the classes too big, too small, just right? Some of the big state universities have huge classes, 300 people in it. Most of the small Newman Guide schools, even if they're larger than we are, they still have small class sizes. So that's normally not a problem amongst any of our competitors or sister schools. But, find out if it feels right. How are the desks? Are they comfortable? Do they fit you? Does it seem like you're going to hurt your back sitting whatever they have? Is there enough lighting in the classroom? Just you're going to spend a lot of time in classroom. So figure that out. Was there time to ask questions, to discuss topics, or was it just the teacher rambled on and on and on, and then the end's like, neat, bell goes, bye-bye, see you next time? Most of classes that we have at Christendom, there is an opportunity to ask questions. Yes, sometimes you run out of time because people have a lot of questions, and that's where students then go to office hours, meet with faculty on their own, and have the good conversations about things that are of interest to them. So again, ask those questions. Is the professor a graduate student? A TA means a teacher's assistant, or maybe it's called teaching assistant. Yeah, teaching assistant. So a lot of big universities that have a doctoral program where students go to get their PhD in whatever they're studying, part of their repayment to the college or university is they teach freshmen or sophomores, or they just do all the grading for the classes. So some bigger schools and universities you may be looking at, you go in there and you want to get taught by the full-time professor. You're paying good money for that. But they say, yeah, no, you're going to get taught by a rookie teacher who is still learning to become a teacher. And so maybe that matters to you. I don't know. At Christendom, we don't have any teaching assistants. Everyone who teaches here is a full-time faculty member or an adjunct faculty member who has their credentials, but they're not a teacher in learning. Again, they may be still a good teacher, but if it matters to you, think about it, ask about it. Did the subject matter interest you and seem challenging? If you looked at the class and said, during our summer program, we know it's kind of a mixed bag of people come to our summer program. We don't have any tests or papers or quizzes during the summer program, so we try to keep it kind of light. And we have had some students in the past say, well, I don't know if I can go to Christendom. It seems like it's not really as academic as my high school. Believe me, it is. It's more academic than your high school. We just, for the summer program, we tone it down a little bit because it's the summer. We want to give you a taste for the classes, but we're not holding you accountable for anything. And we don't want you to freak out that it's like, oh my gosh, I have to write a paper during the summer. That'll be crazy. So, but you should come back to any college and say, does it seem challenging? Because you should want to be challenged. Yeah, you know, I mean, you might say I want to get A's and everything, but you also want to be challenged. You don't want anything to be given to you for free. Are the people known by name by the professors? Mr. Phillips obviously does that little shtick on the Monday after your first Sunday here at the summer program. And he knows all your names. I mean, it's a shtick in that he takes the time to learn it, but the truth is he knows you as a human being, and we're going to know you when you get here. We're going to know you by name. I teach all the students. I know all of them by name. Your teachers will know your name. People are going to know you by name, and that's important to know, whether you're just a number or whether you're actually known. Because if you're known as a person, then that relationship, the mentorship, the education can be much better. And is Catholicism integrated into the subject matter? Obviously, at a non-Catholic school, it's not going to be that way. But even amongst the good Catholic schools, do they bring it into it? Hopefully, you experienced that during our summer program, where all the different classes had some variants of Catholicism added to it. It wasn't just something that we taught in theology class. Obviously, we teach it in theology class, but it should be integrated into the subject matter, and that's something that's very important to Christendom. Did they begin with a prayer or with their crucifixes in the classroom? Obviously, those are tiny little things, but it's just important, we think, if you want a Catholic education. So take it all in, see what it is, look at the syllabus from your classmates and see what their syllabus looks like for the whole year, see if they have any tests or papers. There are some people that go to college that never write a paper. That's a shame. There are people that some go to class, go, and it's all like fill in the bubble tests, fill in true or false, or do you have to write essays? So talk more about the academics to the student that's guiding you around to find out, they find it difficult. What was their high school experience like? Maybe they had the same high school type experience. Maybe they went to a private Catholic school. Maybe they went to a home school. Maybe you can ask them. We tried our best to try to hook you up with people that are similar to you when you come back to visit. So you can ask them, how did it prepare you for what you're experiencing now? So it's very important to visit campus to get a feel for the campus. You need to be able to find out whether or not this is the place you want to go for 4 years. Get a feel. A lot of people, they visit, they don't know the questions to ask. I gave you some questions to ask, some things but ultimately you do want to get a feel and say, are these my people? Am I around it? Many colleges, not just Christendom, offer day or overnight visits. They have open house or scholarship events. You need to pick some of those things to go to. You are allowed to visit multiple times. Obviously, it gets more expensive if you're flying in. But if you live within driving distance to a different school that you live near, I would imagine they would invite you to visit multiple times. I know at Christendom we do. Many colleges help with your travel arrangements. They pick you up at the airport. They take care of your dietary needs on campus. They give you the bedding you need, sort of like we did for the summer program. Other colleges may not. Other colleges may say, well, it's on you. If you want to come visit, you're paying everything to get here. You can get to the campus. We're not picking you up. You're not allowed to stay in the dorms. You pay for your own food. Every college is different. Do not assume one thing's the other. So talk to people about visiting there. Overnight visits, I mentioned earlier, are highly recommended because you can get a feel for what people do outside of class, outside of, sort of when the parents go home, when the adults all leave. Now, by the way, the adults don't leave Christendom. We actually do have a couple of male and female residence directors that live in the dormitories with the students. So we do always have an adult presence on campus. And we also have security guards, of course, that are here too. But the truth is, you want to know, generally, most of the adults go home, at nighttime. And so you want to see how the students act differently. And then come with some follow-up questions to ask. After whatever phone calls you've had or emails with different people, make sure when you go and you meet with the admissions director or associate director, that you have a couple of questions and say, you know what, I've done a lot of research, I figured out a lot of things, but here's still a couple of things. And I gave you some examples of what you might be able to ask. And if you ask somebody, even if you just say to somebody, that's the one question you ask is, what's your Big Mac? What's your thing? What's the thing that you offer that no other college offers? You should get a good answer from somebody that could possibly, seal the deal or make you understand the place better. So when you get home from the visit, sort of like when you got home from the BWE, we suggest that whoever you talk about, your parents say, okay, kid, how was your visit? Tell me all about it. At the end of it all, after your thing, maybe your siblings, maybe it's your parents, you need to say to them, look, Mom, Dad, was I smiling when I was talking about my visit? Did I look happy when I was recounting my experiences? Because if you didn't, you should not come to Christendom College. You should not go to whatever college you're looking at. If there wasn't a sense of fulfillment, of happiness, like, oh my gosh, this place for 4 years, this is going to rock my world. It's going to make me a better person. I can't wait to be around those people. I just loved it. I have a son who's a Benedictine monk. I'd had him go visit Clear Creek Monastery in Oklahoma when he was 16 years old. I went to visit, he went to visit. When I visited, I'm like, I can't wait to leave this place. I'm not meant to be a monk. But my son, I picked him up after a couple of days. He's like, this is like the best weekend of my life. I love this place. I'm like, okay, I guess this is where you should go. And that's where he went. So visiting a place, you should have a attachment, an emotional attachment to some degree. Otherwise, it's just another place. But if you're going to be investing a lot of time and money into this place, you should have an attachment to it, just like many of you did during the BWE. So speaking of BWE, as you know, maybe you remember that we told you about this. There's an $8,000 scholarship you can qualify for and receive automatically if you do two things. First is you get to visit this fall between September 3rd and December 6th. So I don't care if you visited before. I don't care if you went to BWE. This is what you have to do. You can't visit in the spring. I mean, you can visit in the spring, but in order to get this money, you have to visit between September 3rd and December 6th of this coming fall 2024. And then on top of that, the second part is you have to apply, not just apply, like hit some button. You need to have a full, complete application in hand to our admissions office by October 1st. And if you do that, and you're accepted, and you arrive at Christendom and come as a student, you will automatically receive a 2,000-year BWE scholarship. So hopefully there it is. That's what it is. It's the 2,000-year. You don't lose it due to GPA. You don't lose it due to something else. It just, you get it. So you can also come back and visit for the Padre Pio full tuition scholarship, which, you know, if you want to try to go for bust and get full tuition scholarship, that's a lot more than 8,000 over 4 years. That's the full tuition. It does not include room and board. You still have to pay room and board and fees, but the full tuition, if you win that competition, there's three of these prizes. You get 3 winners and then 5 runners up. They get a $5,000 a year scholarship towards that. And then anyone who applies and comes to the event and gets accepted and comes to the event, they also get a scholarship too. So, but that's different. So first part is you gotta visit during September 3rd to December 6th, and then you gotta complete your full application by October 1st. If you're accepted and you come, you'll get the $8,000 over 4 years, $2,000 a year. But then if you want to come back for the Padre Pio, feel free to come back for that. That's on April 5th. There'll be a time to apply for it. We can't let everybody in who applies for it because of spacing, but most people do get in. So whenever you'll get more information about that from Mr. Phillips. So there's that. So again, I'm here to answer questions anytime you want, whether it's today, tomorrow, the rest of your life. I'm here. My email is tmcfadden@christendom.edu. My cell phone number, which I give out, here it is, my phone. You can text me, you can email me, you can call me too. I do better by text and email because I can write it down, then you can go back and read it later. But if you want to call me, I'll talk to you as well, talk to any parents. And that's my cell phone number. You can reach me just about any time. The next webinars I will be giving, I don't know how I got 2 in a row, but I'm going to be doing one on alumni success and outcomes. Obviously, we talked about that during the BWE, but your parents should probably like to come to this one to find out how you can use the liberal arts and translate it into becoming a success with the alumni. Again, we talked about that during the BWE, but you can't hear it enough. So with that, I haven't seen anybody ask any questions in the chat. If you have a couple questions, we might have a couple minutes, but again, don't feel pressed to say anything. If you think about it, you'll have this, we can email this out to you. You'll have a copy of it. Before you're about to visit some other school, if you want to call me up and say, hey, McFadden, what do you think is the difference between Christendom and Ave Maria University? I will be happy to give you the lowdown, what I think. And then when you go to visit Ave Maria, you can say, hey, Ave Maria, man or woman, what do you think is the difference between Christendom and there, and see if there's any kind of correlation between anything. Because it's very important to know. Like I said, there are a lot of good schools. I don't know which one you should go to, but you know, obviously you're looking at Christendom, and we want you to come here if this is what you want to do. But the main thing we want you to do is have all the information you have so you can make a very informed decision. So with that, I apologize in the beginning. We had speaker problems. I should have started with a prayer. What a heathen I am. Sorry about that. But we will close with a prayer. I was a little flustered at the beginning because of that. So we will close with a prayer. And in this prayer, I will pray for the intentions, for your intentions, for you, the students, big decisions to decide. You know, God's going to speak to you in one way or the other to let you know how you should do it. But, you know, one of my favorite sayings is, act as if everything depended on you, and pray as if everything depended on God. So you have to do some things. You got to know how to be prepared to visit schools and think about things and apply. And that's what this seminar or this webinar and all the ones we're going to talk about are there for you. But please, please, please keep in your prayers of what God wants you to do, because ultimately in the end, as I've mentioned before, whatever college is going to help you get to heaven the fastest, the quickest, the easiest, the most direct, that's the school you should go to. So a lot of people think Christendom is their ladder to heaven. I don't disagree, but again, if there's another school out there that's going to help you do that, please choose that one. So let's end with a Hail Mary, and again, we'll put the intentions into Our Lady's hands to make the right decision. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Thank you very much. We'll pray for you as we'll continue to pray for you. You pray for us, and hopefully we'll see you back here in the fall. God bless.